Thank you. Aloha, folks, and welcome back from the break. Our theme this year is about innovation and leadership, and I'm really happy to introduce the next part of the program. If you are involved in the energy space at all, you understand what kind of a leadership role California has today, whether it's the wildfire issues, whether it's storage, whether it's just different approaches to procurement. If you don't think California is a leader, I'm sorry, you're just not paying attention. And then I'm also really glad, just as someone from Hawaii, to discuss our other speaker, and that's the chair of our PUC. We have been so blessed in Hawaii over the past decade to have a series of people on our commission that have acted essentially as ambassadors, out there spreading the word about what's going on in Hawaii. And I am just so pleased to turn the stage over to one of those ambassadors, our own chair, Jay Griffin. So please help me welcome Jay Griffin and Michael Picker, the president of the California PUC, out to the stage. Thank you.
Aloha and good morning, everyone. First, thanks, Doug. Thanks for the introduction. President Picker and I have a special announcement for you today, and it's I think, in line with what Mayor Victorino was talking about earlier, about a new chapter in collaboration. This morning, we're going to sign a memorandum of understanding between the California and the Hawaii Public Utilities Commissions. And as the leaders of our commissions, we're affirming our commitments to our state's clean energy and climate goals, and we're saying we're going to do it together. In taking action, we're following the footsteps of our governors and our utilities. Our states were the first to commit to 100% clean energy goals and sign historic agreements to fight climate change. And many other states are following along now. Our state's energy utilities already collaborate in a variety of different forums, and one of the best examples were the crews from Hawaiian Electric companies that recently went up to Northern California to help with restoration of the Camp Fire there. And now our commissions are taking the next step in building this partnership. In the MOU, you'll see that we're pledging to cooperate and promote clean energy, cost-effective and reliable clean energy infrastructure. And it has a number of different specific items. We're going to work on policies to decarbonize energy sectors, policies and technical standards, continue to work on that with distributed energy resources, technical studies, renewable integration, as well as look at addressing the impacts of climate change and resilience with our energy infrastructure. And these are just the starting points. We've also pledged and left the ability to work on additional topics as they become relevant in the future. And to me, this has both symbolic and practical effect. Symbolically, we, like our leaders in state government and utilities, are pledging to work together for a better and cleaner future. But practically, this agreement will help us share resources between the commissions, particularly for ours. There's a huge benefit here. We can more easily compare notes on the things that we're doing together, but perhaps the most likely and consequential effect will be the ability for our staff to work together closely with President Picker's staff. We follow California's regulatory agenda very closely, but having the ability to call people up directly and work with them is really a huge benefit. And so before turning the stage over, I just want to thank the folks that helped make this possible. Commissioner Potter and Carolina Shida worked very tirelessly with President Picker's staff in putting the MOU together. I want to thank the conference organizers for giving us this platform opportunity to talk. And all these folks are critical in making this happen, but I reserve the most credit for President Picker and his staff. Several years ago, he had the vision that our states were working together towards the same common clean energy future. And he started the dialogue on ways that we could work together. He and his staff have been very generous in their time in working with us, and we're pleased that he could be here. So with that, I'll let him offer some of his thoughts. Thanks.
I thought I'd talk a little bit about why this relationship is very important to us at the California Public Utilities Commission, but I'll start by talking a little bit about why it's very important to me. And I live in Sacramento. I've lived there for 45 years. Sacramento is the only city in the continental United States that was created by Asian Pacific Islanders, and very specifically, it was an effort by the King of the Sandwich Islands to promote trade and to build wealth for people here in the Hawaiian Islands by establishing a trading post for beaver pelts that he wanted to export throughout the Pacific Rim into China and Japan, where they were starting to come into demand. And so he financed a Swiss-German entrepreneur, Johann Sutter, and loaned him a ship to sail to the California coast and to go establish that trading post. They sailed through the San Francisco Bay and up the Sacramento River to the confluence of the Sacramento and the American River. And then 6 Hawaiian sailors rowed Johann Sutter up the American River and landed at what we now call Sutter Landing Park. And they fired off a 5-pound brass cannon, and the indigenous nationals came down to see what the big noise was and said, okay, fine, we're only here in the summer, so go do what you want to do, don't leave a mess. And he actually successfully did that until the gold rush later in the 1840s, which completely obliterated all those early efforts with this massive influx of people from around the world who wanted to share in the notion of California as a place of instant wealth and rebirth of yourself as a different person. But we remember in Sacramento, on occasion, that essential core relationship. And I have to say that it goes both ways in many respects. I was on the board of the Sacramento Municipal Utility District, and there I worked with Jennifer Potter, who's now one of your commissioners. But even before that, Chair Griffin and I had a long relationship of sharing information and discussing problems that are similar, although the circumstances here in Maui and Hawaii are always different than they are in California. The same kinds of problems are arriving as we really drive towards this goal of lots of clean energy, reducing GHG emissions in the electric industry, and trying to help reduce the impact of climate change on our communities. So here again, I think we're formalizing some of the early relationships, although it does not give Sacramento grant to the city that really belongs to the King of the Sandwich Islands, but we'll deal with that elsewhere. So, I think that this is a very important endeavor. We have many of the same kinds of challenges. You have large amounts of solar on very thin grids. We have that in many parts of the state of California. We've learned carefully by watching what you're doing. We share our learning, both staff to staff, but I also have to say that at the PUC in California, we spun off a group called GridWorks, who actually now works directly with the Hawaiian Public Utilities Commission to share what they're learning as they also work with our partners in Nevada, Oregon, and Washington. So I think that you're starting to see this information sharing, the relationships continue to build. I know how important that is, family and relationships in Hawaiian life. So I'm honored that we can actually join very formally into that kind of a relationship here with the Hawaii Public Utilities Commission. So thank you very much for hosting this event and inviting us. And I'm really glad to actually take the step of committing our relationship to paper. So thank you.
Go first.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.